Hey guys, Joe here from TeamBurningInfinitey. Bring you guys on a Buddyfight deck profile for a post-Solar Strike deck. We've got Disaster. I've seen this one requested a lot. A lot of people like Disaster and want to know how to build it and stuff like that. But yeah. So I just wanted to get out this deck profile for you guys because we haven't done it in a little bit. So in any case, my flag is of course Dungeon World, and my buddy is Demon Lord of Demise, Kyoya 10-2-10, the main boss monster, size 3. 3 gauge, put a card from your field into the drop zone, and then if you have 7 or more different disasters when in your drop zone, when he attacks, you deal 7 damage, and then it makes your disaster size 1s into size 0s on your left and right if he's in the center. Just obviously the best card in the deck. You literally go do everything in the deck to try and lead up to Kyoya. He's really strong. He does a ton of burn damage. So against any fun matchups that aren't like things like a Thora or things that just completely shut down your burn, it's really good. Next up, 2 Security Chief Shido, 410 in both attack and defense, 2 crit, Shadow Dive, and when Shido would be attacked, you can redirect the attack to another monster. This is basically a good fake out if you have Kyoya. Like, since he has such low defense, they'll just be like, okay, I'll swing up a weak thing, and then you go, okay, Shido skill, move to Kyoya, 10 KD, have fun with that. But other than that, he's not really that great. If your opponent has any item with defense, he's literally useless, so I don't like calling him too often against some decks. So, yeah, he's alright. Then we have 3 copies of Death Dragonite Devita, 6/1, size 1, and pay 1 gauge call cost. When your disaster attacks an opponent's monster, the attack cannot be nullified, and he has Spectre Strike. When he destroys the opponent's monster by battle, you deal 1 damage to your opponent. He's alright. I kind of just like him for the main part of his effect of preventing your opponent from being able to null when you attack monsters, because as long as Kyoya's attack, he'll get the burn 7, so if I attack a monster that could be problematic, or just attack a monster in the center in general, then it can't nullify, and I'll just be able to do 7 damage, and not have to worry about stuff. So, pretty alright. Next up we have 3 copies of Demon Lord's Arm Sophia, 3/1/3, size 1. It prevents your disaster and stars from being destroyed by card effects on the left and right. It's okay. I really don't like that she doesn't protect the center, but obviously for stars, they don't want them to be able to have a whole field that can't be destroyed by card effects or whatever, but I don't know, like, I just wish protected Kyoya. She's okay if you have a Terami out, speaking of Terami. Next up we have 4 Terami. There's a world where Terami is a better card than Sophia objectively. That's concerning. She's a 3/1/3, size 1, disaster, and when a Wider Call or disaster would leave the field, you can send her to drop instead to keep it on that other monster on the field. Pretty decent. I always usually protect Kyoya with it, but it's alright. I mean, you could also protect the item, so she's just really good for being able to protect your other disasters since they're more useful than her, just like the character. Next up we have Demon Lord's Fangs Ikaruga, 5/1/1, and when he attacks and you have either another disaster or an item equipped, you can either gain 2 life or give himself 2 critical. So he's either a really good big 3 crit beat stick, or he's just gaining you life back, because you do pay a decent amount of life in this deck, so it can be helpful. We have Self-Proclaimed Healing Alchemist Kabbalah, 2/2/2, size 1. When he enters the field, you can pay 2 life, either search for Construct or a Disaster from your deck and add it to your hand. It's great. It's the consistency of the deck, and he's got decent 2 grit. And then, last but certainly not least for the size 1s, we have Black Dragon Priest Gremlin, 4/2/1, size 1. Honestly, outside of Kyoya, this is the best one. When you enter the field, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the drop zone. And then if there's a disaster among them, you get Gauge. That's it. And it's perfectly simple because you need a drop zone setup for Kyoya. This setups your drop, it gives you Gauge, and it just really helps. So, and then he's easy, great fodder off of for sending for Kyoya's call cost. Like, say you mill anything that's not Gremlin, then you send Gremlin, that just gives you like 2 to 3 names already, so it just really helps. Next up we have an interesting tech of mine. We have Inverse Second Omni Demon Lord Def as Modi, 50,000 power, 3 critical, 10,000 defense, lifelink 2, penetrate, and 2 gauge call cost. And when he's destroyed, you send the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone, and you can call any monsters among them without paying their call cost. So it just works perfectly in his deck. Either I get Kiyoya and I get a free buddy call and just a big 10k defense, or I just get a bunch of ones and they all get most of them get enter effects, and then I just also get more names and drop if they die. And they're all easy to call obviously because they're all free. It's just the perfect card, I feel like, to just throw in this deck. Then for Kiyoya, so I'm not going to go into further explanation there. Next up we have onto the spells. We have 3 copies of Unfreezing. You pay a life and then look at the top 3, and then you put 1 to hand and then the rest to bottom, and you can only cast Unfreezing once per turn. Just a good 1-for-1. It pays life. Can easily get it back with Ikaruga, Buddy Calling, Shalsana, so it's not a big deal, and also it's just really great to help dig. Next up, we have 3 copies of Reset Button. You can only cast if you have 1 or more gauge, and then you put them back to the deck, and then you shuffle your deck, and then you get 4 gauge. It's pretty simple. Really use it when I'm just like equipping my item, or calling Devita, or both, and then I cast it so that I have enough gauge to do Kiyoya. Next up we have 3 copies of Golden Treasure Box. Since I can easily fluctuate my life in this deck, I can easily get to 6 and then get out of 6 in the same turn. So I feel like it's basically like a decent draw card for the deck. What it is, if you can only cast it if you have 6 or less life, you send the top card of your deck into the drop zone. If it's a monster, you draw equal to its size, and then if it's not, you get a gauge and draw. You can only cast Golden Treasure Box once per turn. It's really good because regardless of what I mill, I'm getting something decent out of it. Either I'm sending a disaster size 1, so I'll get a 1 draw, and I get a different name, most likely in the drop. I either mill Kiyoya, which, once again, another name, but since it's a size 3, I'll draw 3. I mill Def Modi, well, I don't mind milling him, because then I'll draw 3. And if I mill any spells, I get a gauge in a draw, or my item. So, it's just a win-win no matter what. So, I always feel like this card is a really good card for you. And for once in a dungeon deck, you don't have to run bonus quests. So, yeah. Then for defense, we have 4 copies of Raised Castletown. You can only cast if you have 2 more monsters on your field. Counter arrest an opponent's monster. It's just really good in the deck because you always have 2 or more monsters because of Kiyoya and just how the deck flows. It's just always calling monsters constantly. So this is just a perfect card for defense. Divine Protection or Shalsana, pay gauge, nullify attack during your opponent's turn, gain a life. It's the staple. It's of course your too. Last but certainly not least, we have the item of the deck, Purgatory Demonic Swordsman's Armor, 1/1/1, pay 1 gauge item, and it can attack even if you have a monster in the center. For each different disaster in your drop zone, it gets 1,000 power and defense, and then if once you reach 7 or more, it gets +2 critical. So if you have the 7 and drop like usual for Kiyoya, it becomes an 8/3/8 item. And since you can only get up to a max of 9 disasters, that means you can get to 10 KD, which is really strong. 10 KD with 3 crits, just wow. But in any case, hope you guys like this video. Subscribe to TBI for more Buddyfight content, and we'll be back at you again with more Soul Strike deck profiles. So stay tuned.